Thanks a lot for watching this holiday week of Video One. It's been a very special series of shows for us. We've counted down the top 50 videos of 1985, and we've seen some incredible work from some real superstar artists and groups. Groups such as Duran Duran, Wham, and artists such as Tina Turner, Sting, Bruce Springsteen, Prince, Phil Collins, and many, many more. And next year, 1986, looks as though it could be even hotter. Look for a new album from Michael Jackson sometime in April. It's going to be a great year. But thanks for being with us all this year. And right now, we'd like to leave you with the #1 video of 1985. It's also the first ever top 10 hit for a band from Norway. The band is called Aha. It features 3 members, some computer animation, some rotoscoping, some live action, and most of all, the video works because you become emotionally involved. You want the characters to get back together. The #1 video for 1985, Aha, Take On Me. And thanks for watching.
As we know it requires water. If we were to tour the solar system, this is what we might find. The moon. Airless. Waterless. No life. Venus. Clouds of poison. 900-degree temperatures. A furnace. No liquid water, no life. Mars. Polar ice caps. Dry river channels that may have been carved by water, but now not enough liquid water. No life. Watch out for asteroids. A problem for all space travelers. Fasten your belts as we pass Jupiter. Saturn. Rings of ammonia mixed with flakes of ice. No liquid water. No life. I'm thirsty. Let's go home. To where the smallest pond has more life in it than the rest of the solar system put together. So far.
Sweet nothings in your ear. Dial Romance at 976-7676. 95 cents a call.
Willing to do anything for a laugh? Call Dial-A-Joke at 976-LAUGH, and you'll have them coming back for more.
Are you taking any chances? Are you missing any opportunities? Just find your sign and dial for your daily horoscope from Sidney Omar.
Hi, I'm Simon, Santa's chief elf. Santa's busy talking to all of your friends. You can call him, too, on a Santa hotline, 976-2001. He'll tell you kids a very special Christmas story. And for you big people, he'll offer unique gift-giving ideas. You'll hear a new story and gift ideas every day. You'll be helping the California Special Olympics because we'll contribute part of your $2 call to them. Call today, 976-2001. And kids, be sure you get your parents' permission first.
And Merry Christmas.
Hotline and find out.
Intense.
Dial 976-3030.
Meet Churchill, a special rabbit with a hat full of special stories. If it's okay with your folks, you can call Churchill at 976-3131. 55 cents a call.
Got hassles in school? Is your love life a downer? Find out how to deal with it. Dial 976-TEEN.
PM Magazine takes you to the movies to witness the magic of a chorus line. We'll show you what you'll never see in the theaters. Wednesday at 8:30, only on Channel 11.
Here's the ticket to make a smile. And no matter what your point of view, always 3 of a kind will do. New and fun, as you can see, 3 of a kind from the lottery.
Now you can win the multi-million-dollar growing grand prize, or up to $25,000 instantly.
It's a good feeling for a lot of good reasons. The California Lottery.
During the Miller's Outpost after Christmas sale, you'll save a ton of cash on a special group of men's and juniors brand name sweaters. Just $14.97 each gets you into Sweaters by Kennington, Saturdays, and Michael Gerard for men. For juniors, $14.97 gets you Sweaters by Yellow Rose or Systems by Penn, White, and Manson. So hurry before time runs out and save big bucks. I said bucks. Thank you. Men's and junior sweaters just $14.97 each during the after Christmas sale at Miller's Outpost. Now.
Have you noticed that girls say what's most important is a good personality? But what they really go for are good-looking guys. Well, I've noticed something myself recently. Ever since I got my new Toyota truck, I seem to be getting better looking every day.
Hey, Roger, who are you talking to? Come on, let's party!
What a Toyota truck can do for you is nothing compared to what your Toyota dealer can do for you right now during Toyota's year-end truck fairs.
New Year's Day, Channel 11 brings home the Southland Celebration of the Year. Live from Pasadena, it's the 97th Annual Tournament of Roses Parade. Channel 11's Rose Parade coverage, featuring more camera angles, amazing aerials, and state-of-the-art stereophonic sound, with Channel 11's Mary Hart and Bill Welch.
For the best view of the Rose Parade,
Watch it with us.
Start the new year with the best, and 86 the rest. Wake up to Channel 11's Tournament of Roses Parade coverage, beginning 6:30 Wednesday morning, New Year's Day.
Channel 4 weather.
Great. Our weather presentation is high-tech, fast-paced, and colorful. Sort of Miami Vice with preppy clothes.
Ooh. Super graphics. Super guy.
Whoa.
Fritz.
You find better weather on another station, bring it to me. I'll match it. I'm the Prince of Weather.
Fritz Coleman. What a guy. On the Channel 4 News.
Fritz said it would be like this.
This winning moment is sponsored by your Southern California Chrysler Plymouth dealers.
1985, Miami leads San Francisco 10-7 in the second quarter of Super Bowl 19, until Joe Montana turned it around with a touchdown pass to Roger Craig, followed by his own keeper for the next TD. Another score by Craig made the blowout complete. San Francisco 38, Miami 16, an overwhelming winning moment.
It's here. 8.6 annual percentage rate financing on all Plymouth Reliance. 8.6 on all Plymouth Horizons. 8.6 on all Plymouth Turismos. 8.6 on all Chrysler LeBaron convertibles. 8.6 on all Chrysler Lasers. And 8.6 on all Chrysler LeBaron GTSs. Or up to $1,000 cash back. This holiday season, the choice is yours. Up to $1,000 cash back or 8.6 financing. This offer won't last, so hurry in and buy one today.
You know how terrific that turkey sandwich tastes after Thanksgiving? Well, now you can enjoy a turkey sandwich that good any day of the year with Louis Rich sliced turkey. It's cooked and sliced for you. Delicious, up to 95% fat-free. It's naturally lean. So, for the ultimate turkey sandwich, you don't have to wait till after Thanksgiving. But you do have to wait till after math.
It took Louis Rich to make turkey so right.
Dynamite.
Come on. Where can you get chicken that tastes as great as this looks?
Kentucky Fried Chicken, we do chicken right.
Right.
Who beat Ford and Toyota in a recent California survey? Renault, that's who. New car shoppers rated Alliance and Encore superior in 29 out of 30 categories.
You could feel the bumps in the Corolla, where in the Alliance you could not.
I think overall the Renault is a classier looking car. It looks like a more expensive car.
After driving it, I would pick the Renault.
Now get a holiday bonus up to $700 on Renault and factory-to-dealer incentives on Jeep. Take advantage of year-end tax savings at your California Jeep Renault dealer today.
Hey, what's going on here? A big sale with prices 20 to 60% below C&R.
And C&R's prices were much lower than May Company.
And Bullock's. Broadway, too.
Neiman Marcus.
Finally, someone's beaten C&R's prices. C&R. It's C&R's January clearance sale. Prices reduced 20 to 60%. Sale is on now. Finally, someone's beaten C&R's prices. C&R.
To the city of Miami.
Just close your eyes, make a wish, and cue the pixie dust.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Barbara Eden.
This is just the kind of day that you dream about. When you open up your mouth, a song pops out. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. My, oh my, what a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine heading my way. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-ay. Mr. Bluebird on my shoulder. It's the truth, it's actual. Everything is satisfactual. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-ay. Wonderful feeling, wonderful day, wonderful feeling, wonderful day.
Live from Biscayne Boulevard in Miami, Florida, it's the 52nd Annual Orange Bowl Parade. With your host, Joe Garagiola, co-host Barbara Eden, Grand Marshals Mickey and Minnie Mouse, with appearances by lovely pop vocalist Marilyn McCoo, the exciting and talented Ben Vereen, country singing star Dottie West, and members of television's hit series Miami Vice. Plus, special New Year's greetings from Bob Hope, Harry Anderson, Ed Begley Jr., Marla Gibbs, Dick Clark and Ed McMahon, and David Letterman.
A dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep. In dreams you will lose your heartaches. Whatever you wish for, you dream. Have faith in your dreams, and someday your rainbow will come shining through. No matter how your heart is grieving, if you keep on believing, the dream that you wish will come true.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Garagiola. As you can see by our opening, this year's Orange Bowl Parade is really going to be something special. Our Grand Marshals are without a doubt the most recognizable and beloved characters that ever stepped off a page of animation, Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Now, they just flew in from Disney World. They're about to take their place at the head of our parade. You know, Mickey's become kind of a goodwill ambassador to the entire world, but tonight this city wants them all for themselves. They'd like to think of him and Minnie as Miami Mice. Right now, though, here's one of the few human beings who can claim to be as recognizable as Mickey Mouse. It's the incomparable Bob Hope.
Happy New Year, everyone. I tell you, we Americans love to be different, don't we? Every other country in the world does their best to keep mice out of their cities. But over here, we made one of them the Grand Marshal in a parade. Nice going, Mickey. I wish I had your agent.
Launch from Cape Canaveral. All 7 astronauts on board are killed in the devastating blast.
There are questions tonight about the future direction of America's space program. We will hear from the sister of the first teacher astronaut who was scheduled to go into space today. And President Reagan pays an emotional tribute to the 7 astronauts who died.
Next on Eyewitness News.
the #1 station for news and information in Southern California. Eyewitness News continues now with Paul Moyer, Ann Martin, Dr. George Fishbeck with the weather, Ted Dawson with sports, Larry Carroll at the live action camera desk, and the Eyewitness News team.
As a stunned nation looked on this morning, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded in midair, killing everybody on board. Good evening, all. It's now 5 o'clock. The 7 people are dead, including school teacher Krista McAuliffe, after the 25th manned space shuttle blew up shortly after launch.
Engines throttling up, 3 engines now at 104%.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up. 1 minute, 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
Although it had suffered its share of delays, even as late as this morning, the 10th run of the Challenger started like any other flights. But a minute after it, something was in the air. Something went tragically wrong. The last thing the crew heard was an order by Mission Control to increase its speed, increase throttle. They accelerated to approximately 900 miles per hour when the unthinkable began to happen. You see it there in slow motion. The force of the blast sent hundreds of pieces of fiery debris raining over the Atlantic Ocean for nearly an hour. Although rescuers were immediately dispatched to the crash site, they were kept at bay because of the falling debris. What you were looking at there was a slow-motion shot of Challenger being destroyed. At one point, a sole parachuter was seen flying over the area, and that heightened the false hope that a member of the crew might have survived. Those hopes, though, immediately dashed when the parachuter turned out to be a paramedic. The slow-motion pictures you saw give a more graphic account of the explosion. If you could look at it very carefully, you saw a trail of fire move from the back of the Challenger and through the craft. Speculation by everybody this morning, but it's really not clear yet whether the source of the fire might have been the booster rocket or the main engine system. And it might be, Ann, some time before they finally get a definitive answer to that question.
That's what they're saying tonight, Paul. The space agency NASA has suspended its launch schedule indefinitely and will not resume the shuttle flights until the reason for today's explosion can be found. As the crew got ready for takeoff this morning, NASA decided that the winds were a problem yesterday, but they had died down enough today to launch. But they did delay until some icicles that had formed on the platform melted. After the explosion, no sign of problem.
All early indications in the Launch Control Center, the Kennedy Space Center, have indicated that the launch was normal up to approximately 11:40 a.m. this morning, about a minute or so into the flight. Flight controllers in the Launch Control Center here and in the Mission Control Center in Houston were polled immediately after the explosion, reported that they did not see anything unusual up to that point.
Moore would not speculate on how today's disaster might affect the space program or on how long the program might be delayed, but other experts have speculated it could be months. Preparations for the launch of the Challenger appeared to be routine, or as routine as spaceflight ever becomes. The 7 astronauts were getting ready to eat their traditional pre-launch breakfast early this morning, looking a bit uncomfortable posing for the cameras. The blast-off had been delayed 5 times in recent days because of weather and minor technical problems. This morning there were 2 one-hour delays, one of them because sub-freezing temperatures had caused ice to form on the spacecraft and on the launch tower. But according to NASA officials, a complete inspection of all critical parts just before the launch showed that everything was normal, or seemed to be. Paul.
And painfully, but really unavoidably, among those who witnessed the explosion at Cape Canaveral this morning were the parents of Krista McAuliffe, the astronaut teacher who was chosen from among the thousands of educators to join this mission. Ed and Grace Corringham of Framingham, Massachusetts, stood silently during the launch, arm in arm, beaming with pride and joy. They, along with the others in the viewing bleachers, didn't appear to understand what happened when the shuttle exploded. McAuliffe's sister, Betsy Corrigan, returned from Cape Canaveral to her home in Venice, California last night. She was shocked because no one ever expected something like this to happen.
That's not going to be the case. She did this to get people into the space program, you know, to open up people's eyes and get people more enthusiastic about it. And I know that she will hope that people take this as a bad accident, as bad accidents do occur, and just do have faith in something that the people, they've had one bad accident back in '63, but they had a very good, I mean, it's 20-some years since that's happened. So the records have been very good.
We will tell you that camera crews were there. They did record the reaction of Krista McAuliffe's parents when they finally realized the fate of their daughter. We on this program tonight have chosen not to broadcast those pictures for obvious reasons. Perhaps a good decision. There are many, many aspects to this tragic story today involving Challenger, and here with another angle on it is our reporter Larry Carroll. Larry?
Indeed there are, Paul. Of course, the very second after the Challenger lifted off from Cape Canaveral, Florida, the responsibility of running that flight was placed in the hands of NASA's Mission Control Center at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Channel 7's Gene Gleason is standing by at the nerve center of the U.S. space program right now with a live report. Gene?
Well, Larry, we just watched Krista McAuliffe's parents as they looked in confusion as Challenger rose into the sky, that clear Florida sky this morning, and then saw the thing explode, not really knowing whether that was normal or not. And of course, it was by no means normal. It was terribly abnormal, but it took them a few seconds to realize that something tragically had gone wrong. Here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, however, the people who man and control these space flights sit at large consoles, each one responsible for one or two aspects of the many aspects of a space flight. And the data is radioed instantaneously from the space shuttle down to them on the ground. They are professionals. They knew instantly that something very, very bad had gone wrong with this flight because those panels suddenly went blank. As soon as that explosion took place, as soon as Challenger blew up, there was nothing to look at anymore. It was all gone. That, of course, will be one of the very difficult things for investigators from NASA to try to piece together the cause of this terrible tragedy, because much of that data instantaneously was wiped out. It will be difficult, if not impossible, for them to say this was the sequence of events. We're going to look at that slow motion picture once again and show you what we know, and this picture is one of the key pieces of evidence so far, that at some point, just after the commander of the spacecraft Challenger, Francis Scobie, radioed that indeed he was throttling back up after they throttled down to go through what they call the maximum dynamic pressure zone. That's to keep the spacecraft from going through a period of dynamic pressure too rapidly. That was the last word from Challenger. It was, Roger, go with throttle up. That was Scobie, and then the explosion. You can see the lick of flame at the tail and then suddenly spreading up, and then apparently, and we don't know this for sure, the large tank blows up and consumes the orbiter, Challenger, its cargo, its 7 astronauts, and then nothing but pieces as they fall into the Atlantic Ocean. Here at NASA, they are saying very little. There is a board of inquiry already convened. We heard that earlier when Jess Moore, the deputy administrator of NASA, announced that it would be convened. All of the relevant documents, all of the data, all of whatever they know of this flight, the maintenance records, everything has been impounded. The investigators will spend weeks, perhaps months, going over that information, and only then will we have a definitive word of what really happened. But right now, tonight, this is, of course, a national tragedy and a horrible impact, a horrible disaster for NASA, one that will definitely impact the National Space Program for some time to come. This is Gene Gleason reporting live from Houston. Now let's go back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Gene. Of course, they had a very heavy schedule planned of shuttle launches, the heaviest ever in 1986, and of course that is all now very much in abeyance. And
including that one from Vandenberg this summer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In Washington this afternoon, President Ronald Reagan said he shared the pain and the sorrow that the nation is feeling because of the shuttle disaster. The president watched the disaster on television like the rest of the country, and a spokesman said that he was stunned and watched it all silently. Later, Mr. Reagan decided to postpone his State of the Union address, which was scheduled for tonight because of the explosion of Challenger. He also sent Vice President George Bush to Cape Canaveral, said he wanted the Vice President to be there to talk to the families of the 7 astronauts. And the President had a special message for school students in a brief address to the nation a few hours ago.
I know it's hard to understand, but sometimes painful things like this happen. It's all part of the process of exploration and discovery. It's all part of taking a chance and expanding man's horizons. The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave. The Challenger crew was pulling us into the future, and we'll continue to follow them. The crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger honored us for the manner in which they lived their lives. We will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them this morning, as they prepared for their journey and waved goodbye and slipped the surly bonds of earth to touch the face of God.
Mr. Reagan called the 7 astronauts pioneers, and he said that they were daring and that they were brave. Paul.
Indeed they were, the pioneers, the people. Next up, and more on the astronauts, the pioneers who were killed today, including the one who made much of the headlines, the first teacher scheduled to go into space.
7 crew members lost in the explosion of Challenger. They were 5 men and 2 women from different states, different backgrounds, but all, as the president said, with a hunger to explore. The mission leader was Commander Francis Scobie. He was known as Dick Scobie to his friends, 46 years old from Washington State, and this was his second mission. Scobie had piloted the Challenger in 1984. He had been an astronaut since 1979. Scobie had 22 years in the Air Force and had a tour of combat duty in Vietnam. He earned the Distinguished Flying Cross and Air Medal and logged 5,300 hours as a test pilot. He is survived by his wife and 2 children. The mission pilot was Michael Smith, 40 years old, a decorated Navy pilot from North Carolina who joined the astronauts' ranks in 1980. This was his first space mission, and he leaves his wife and...
It was different because it was the first real private citizen, a layman like the rest of us, to go up in the shuttle. And because of that, most of the public attention for this flight was centered on the first teacher astronaut, the mother of 2 from Concord, New Hampshire. Lynn Shear tonight has a profile on Krista McAuliffe.
When she left her classroom behind for a semester of space training, 37-year-old Krista McAuliffe temporarily traded 12 years of teaching for a new kind of learning. Listen to her description of the airplane ride that simulates zero gravity.
As you peak that parabola at the top, you have about 20 or 30 seconds of weightlessness, and all of a sudden, just like Peter Pan, you start flying up, and it was just unbelievable.
That's the enthusiasm that's made her a favorite of students at Concord High School in New Hampshire.
She makes all her students understand things, but in an interesting manner.
She was explaining, like, the assembly line process, and she went into this story about when she used to package Twinkies on the assembly line. And, I mean, I just laughed so hard, but I'm not going to forget it.
That's also what helped her application stand out among the 11,000 NASA received, and what changed her life. Suddenly, she was a celebrity. McAuliffe and her family were paraded along Main Street and featured on the front page. When she reported to NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, she was poked and prodded and outfitted and observed.
She's a sort of a risk taker. She does the unusual, the way she runs a class, and she's not afraid of things. She lives life. She's not afraid of it.
Teachers are always prepared.
And while she taught history and economics, her students figured out there was something else on her mind, too.
Even on the quizzes, she'd throw in an extra credit quiz about what are the 5 names of the space shuttle. So we always knew her interest in space was high.
Lynn Shear, ABC News, Concord, New Hampshire.
Krista McAuliffe, incidentally, and this is really an ironic twist to this whole story, was insured on this flight for $1 million, but the other crew members were not. A spokesman for the agency that took out the policy with Lloyd's of London says it was a gift to her, it was given to her as a gift, and that Lloyd's indeed will pay off. 8 years ago, when Judy Resnick found out that she had been chosen as a mission specialist, she was working at a Xerox corporation in El Segundo. Her co-workers there said that she was somebody that none of them would ever forget.
I really can't think of a finer person. She really was a very easygoing person, easy to get along with, and I think she had a very good stay here at Xerox, and everybody was very happy to hear that she got accepted at the space program.
She was very friendly, very intelligent, you know, and enjoyed working on scientific stuff, very dedicated to her job. She enjoyed helping people. You know, I often saw her working to help other people.
And both those people you just heard from regarding Judy Resnick said that they both would agree that she would really want the shuttle program to continue. Ann?
That's what the relatives have been saying as well today. Another member of the crew with a California connection was Gregory Jarvis, Challenger's payload specialist and a longtime technician with Hughes Aircraft. The 41-year-old shuttle expert lived with his wife, Marcia, as we said, in Hermosa Beach, had done for the past 12 years. His next-door neighbor, John Meyer, knew Jarvis as an outgoing, friendly man.
We're all kind of shocked because I didn't realize that he was going to be on this flight. I just thought that he might have been gone on more training in Houston or something because I hadn't seen them around the house lately. Because on the the 405, and I heard that the shuttle blew up, and that put me into shock right there, and I didn't even think about, you know, about Greg being on it until they went through the list of the names, and when they said Gregory Jarvis, and I knew he was on it.
Greg Jarvis had worked at Hughes Aircraft's El Segundo Space and Communications Group. He was originally from Detroit. The space program has always been a source of pride to Taft High School in Woodland Hills. Today, not surprisingly, the flags at the school were at half-staff. Cynthia Allison, who spent some time on that campus today, talks about the connection now.
The news really hurt the people at Taft High School. They hold a special fascination for space because one of their own has been there. Catherine Sullivan of the class of '69 was one of the first women in space. She brought Taft a lot of pride. So today, its teachers felt a big responsibility to turn this tragedy into a learning experience.
The kids were interested because of the fact that it was a teacher that was on board along with the rest of the crew, those that knew that that was the case, and the fact that it was such an immediate shock.
And when this happened, because most of the students, now these are 16 and 17-year-olds, and they all want to accomplish something in their life, they were upset. They were traumatized because we had been discussing death. And then they thought about it and they said, we still would go up if we had the chance, because the people were trying to accomplish something.
But we're speculating on, could the weather have been a factor in the cause of the explosion? It was very cold at the case the night before, Dr. George.
And you'll see in our segment here that we had it freezing, below freezing for 11 hours. However, everyone there in charge says the weather did not. However, in one of these clips that I'll show you, where the icicles form, you can see a cold gas descending. It could be oxygen or something like that. That's an overflow. Let's go to our cassette and see what we can examine from that. First of all, notice that all of the moist air is now offshore, but there could be moist air over Cape Canaveral. Before takeoff, temperature 37, but notice that the temperature was below 32 for, now watch this cold dribbling. See it coming on down. There wasn't much chance there. All right, let's move on and see what we've got. Our hourly temperatures, oh my goodness, I had a report that there were some 200